Hot, that jacket was too hot, dude.
I know.
All right, we are back. A big win, 65 Who's, 57 Vatek. It was a little nerve wracking at the end there. I'm not gonna lie, but we pulled it out. Um, who would you say player of the game? Our baby Jordan Miner or Reese, or I'll kick it to you. Have who do you got? Player of the game?
Hey, I liked what I saw from both the guys you mentioned. Reese, fourth year starting point guard, did not want to lose at home to an in-state rival. And you got to give it up for Jordan. Like, he looked the part tonight, more so than I think any other game. Really good stat line for him. 16 points, 5 for 8, 6 for 8 from the line. 5 rebounds, just a really good game. He looked like the big-bodied guy that we thought would help. Almost very similar to our guy last year. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Jaden Gardner.
Yeah, Jaden. It was like a Jaden type game for him.
It was,
and I was happy for him. Reese did his thing. Buchanan showed flashes. I liked that. This is probably his second best game that he's had. So a lot to like. We got the win. We're going to take it. We're not going to be critical of anybody. Good win for the Who's, 65-57.
And we got to see Dante back. Dante Harris back. Had a nice drive. He looked quick. Had that nice little jumper that was kind of like fading to the right and hit it. Tough shot. He looked good. I mean, I know it's not great. Elijah's minutes are probably going to get impacted here, but he looked good. What do you think, Fresh?
Yeah, I'm wearing my Dante jersey tonight post game. Cool to see him in. You know what he did? What he does really good. He catches the ball and makes quick, fundamental chest passes cross court. Nothing crazy. Just when he sees a guy, he catches it. Next stop is a chest pass. And he catches the ball. He goes to the basket when he's open. He adds something. He has experience. The whole thing. I think Jordan Miner is going to get the MVP sentimentally, but I think Reese was the real MVP. If you're honest with yourself, if that makes sense, because set the tone, had 10 in the first half, and finally we shut the game down at the end when you're in those 6-point games, 5 points. 2 minutes left, whatever. That's kind of your point guard, right?
Yeah.
But Jordan did a lot of things. I think, Tom Henske mentioned he made the point, and I watch more the way he screens, the way he makes space, the way he gets big. It makes space for the rest of the guys. So, and by the way, 20 wins in a row in JPJ. Do you guys know that?
Big time. Yeah. High score for us. We had Reese and Jordan Miner with 16, but Padula had 18. So for the game, it was Padula.
Wow,
but,
what a quiet 18.
It was quiet. 6 for 16, 4 for 9 from 3 for Padula. Couture, 5 for 10, had 12. Overall, those two didn't have bad games. I think just collectively they didn't get it going, which was a testament to our defense. I think Dante got scorched on defense.
Yeah, and one thing that came up, I'm pulling the comment up because he was talking about the pocket passes with Dante. Dante brought a little flair tonight. In addition to having a good game, 5 points. He was, let's see, what was he from the field? 2 for 5. But he brought some flair to the game, which, we have like eyedroppers full of flair. We don't get like a teaspoon or a tablespoon or a big old like soup spoon full of flair. He brought some flair, which I really liked seeing. And he had those kind of like underhand spinning passes from the perimeter down low for dunks. It was nice to see that.
Yeah, well, Dante, like we talked about it, he's a go to the basket. He's an attacking player, right? He's not catch on the perimeter and back up and assess. He sees a lane and he goes at it, and that's you live and die with it, but whatever. But we lived with it tonight. We got the win.
Got the win.
Really, tonight, it's all that mattered. There's nothing else that mattered tonight except for the win.
Yeah, we needed the win. It kind of keeps us, in the hunt, so to speak. I think, is this a turning point? I'm not sure if it's the turning point, but we hope it is. I think we need a road win if we really want to start talking about turning point, right? We need to get a couple of wins here in a row, especially win a few on the road here, and let's see if we can turn around. Because I don't know if we're even a bubble team at this point. I think we're outside looking in. We've got some work to do. We probably need to clean up a lot. We need a couple big wins here down the stretch, and I don't know how many we have honestly on the schedule that are going to be big quad one wins. So this is going to be tough.
Yeah, schedule is unkind. We've got the really tough stretch late February against, I think it's like Wake Forest at home, North Carolina, Duke, BC. There's like 4 games that are going to be tough for us. So we got to stack them up. And hey, let's be honest, we're in that. If we want to make the tournament, which I think, as you said, T-Dub, is a slim chance, almost every game now is a must win. You can probably lose to a Duke or a UNC, but we've got to win these games.
Yeah, I mean, if looking ahead here, we've got at Georgia Tech Saturday, NC State at home, at Louisville. 3, I don't know. Georgia Tech is tough. They are very good at home.
Yeah.
If we can get those 3, then I would say those are big ones. I think we need a road win. If we can get one here against Georgia Tech, that could pave the way for some success down the road. But again, schedule on February 3rd, we go at Clemson, and we have Miami at home and at Florida State. Talk about another 3 tough games. And then that gets us ready for down the stretch with it's at Tech, North Carolina, at home, at BC, at Duke. Whew,
that's tough.
Those are tough stretches.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's like, who made our schedule? Do we have any choice in this thing, or was just the ACC gods were like, take this?
I mean, when we looked at it early in the season, I was like, oh, great, we only play UNC and Duke once, and Clemson as well, right? And so it looked okay early, but now with our struggles, all of a sudden the schedule looks really scary.
Yep.
What does this mean for Elijah? Julie's asking you. Fresh, what's your take on it?
On the cover and watching the game, it's not good. Dante's back. I guess they wanted to get his feet wet back again, and Dante did really well. And I've heard nothing but good things about Elijah in practice and the whole thing. So I'm not, I don't really know. But we won the game. Like, I don't have a real comment or understanding of that.
Today's the first game that you could see what our offense was doing. What do you think about that, Have?
Yeah, so I agree with that comment 100%. Part of that is due to who we were playing. Virginia Tech, not great defensively. They are like in the high 60s for defensive efficiency. They're a good team. We beat them pretty good, but one thing that I wish we really stepped on their throat. We were up like 11 with 3 minutes left, and they got it down to like 5. We've got to develop that gene, that instinct to really step on their throat. It got a little dicey. A minute left, it was 5, right? And for anyone who watches college basketball, that's not a safe lead. So we ended up stretching it out. We got the win. Let's be positive. But in regards to Elijah, and TW asked the question, this is a really good opportunity for the staff to say, hey, reach out. And I've been there where you're not playing. It's really lonely. Someone, right. And we talked about TP. TP would come up and be like, hey, you got to stay ready. Someone could get hurt. Words of encouragement matter when you're on that lonely island by yourself of not playing. And as I've said on forum, playing time is the currency of college athletes, and nobody wants to be broke. And that's really true. Someone needs to talk to him. What can happen is that he's bummed out about the win. He goes home, he visits with his parents. He starts talking about, like, I don't know if this is the right place for me. No, it's a sit down with the parents, with the kid, and saying, like, hey, you're right there. Dante was coming back. This was a tough game to kind of work you in, but you're a big part of this program now, and you're going to be a big part of this program in the future. You have to retain talent and not lose it out the back door. And he's certainly a talent.
Yeah. What's the message though when you redshirted and Elijah redshirted, but he came back from his red shirt because somebody got hurt? I think that's why he came back. Dante. The second Dante comes back, Elijah's out. That's a tough message, man. I don't want to go deep into this, but that's tough.
That is tough because we ripped your red shirt off. We took a year away from you.
Yeah. Because
we needed you for like 3 games. And, I hope there is management and care around that kid because he's very talented. We've seen it. Maybe he's not been practicing real well. Maybe he's homesick. I mean, these are young kids.
Yep.
But we need to try to keep him. We've lost enough out the back door, and that happens in today's environment. But let's do everything we can to keep him and keep him engaged, right? Like, let him lead the scout team. Let him emulate the best player, and get some minutes. Like he could have easily played tonight. Like, the guy theoretically playing in front of him is Rhodey. Rhodey had another for tonight. No points, no free throws. Like, I'm not going to go off on Rhodey, but like, do you think Elijah, if he played 30 minutes a game, goes over? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it is one game. So let's see what the future holds for Elijah.
Yep.
I'm hoping he can make his way into that rotation again. Lance, if you need to go to the Georgia Tech game, and if anyone has tickets, let us know. We'll hook Lance up. Harris contributes way beyond the box score. Yes, he's quick. He's a threat. So it definitely seems that way.
I agree.
Only 4 threes, 4 for 14. Still got the win.
I think the biggest stat of the night was the second half. I believe that I think Virginia Tech had 39 points. Check me on that, but somebody sent me that. I don't know that. That's a lot.
Yeah. Jeffrey with the love the boxing out. Let's go.
Yes, good fundamental basketball.
The boxing out and shot clock. Also, how hard is it to score against Reese? Yeah, for sure. But Padula is still 18, but it's definitely a lot less than the 30 he's been getting in the last few games.
Yeah, Dante coming back was big. There was flair there. There was quickness, aggression towards the rim.
Yep.
Next
My
level.
hope is that it becomes a regular thing and not just, hey, first game back. Like, I kind of went on instinct. I don't want to beat that out of them. I want to maintain that and keep that because that's what we need.
Next level who with the interesting one. Do you think we would have seen this earlier if we just let Miner learn through growing pains?
I mean,
we'll never know that, but
exactly.
Who's to know if he's not learning in practice? But if you think game time, I don't know. That's a good question. What do you think, Hav? What's your gut on that?
Well, we talked about it on our, we watched the games together. We talked about it and said, was he so bad early in the year that he was not worthy of playing? My guess is no, but that Blake was doing enough things in practice that it kept Miner off the court. But hey, I think the entire UVA fan base is happy for him. He kept a positive attitude.
Right.
He worked really hard.
I mean, who's to say not playing? I mean, if you don't play, maybe you're so motivated that you work harder and get better. And if you're playing and you stink it, I mean, I don't know. It could go either way, right? It's hard to tell that with that kind of thing. You got to know your guys.
It's hard. He must have been, we always talk about the adjustment to UVA, which I think is valid to a certain degree, but it's not 25% harder to come to UVA than it is to go to any other program. It's just not. Like, it's still basketball. You're not switching sports. You might be learning a new defense. Yes, he had to learn man-to-man and pack line and all that, but could he have helped us earlier? Probably, but Tony wanted to bring him along at his pace, and maybe that is better in the long term. You just don't know.
But it's all like also to that point, we just won a game, right?
Yeah.
Miner played good. He played very good. Better than, it's like you exceed expectations to the fan base, to me and all of us. But we didn't win the game before with him. They look good, yes. They look good the other game, yes. But he's not really kind of the savior, if that makes sense. Doesn't mean that there was a mistake not playing him early.
Yeah, I agree with that.
As TW answered the question, who knows? We don't know. But it's one game, and hey, let's just be happy he played that way. It's going to be huge. 16 points in the ACC. You went to Merrimack.
Yeah.
You're from the South Shore of where's he from? The South.
Basically Cape Cod.
Yeah, Cape Cod, and like, dude, you're in the big time, and you beat an ACC team, and you balled out. He's gonna walk across campus tomorrow feeling like,
yeah, confidence got to be high, right?
Yeah, it goes a long way. So let's be happy about that, but let's not, in my opinion, say, oh, we were missing out before. We weren't. Blake was great. This is how these things go.
Yeah, well, I would say let's not jump to any conclusions without. I see. I'm worried Elijah's going to transfer and all this. It's still. Got a lot of season left. Let's not transfer. Yeah, give him some time to work his way in.
If Elijah transfers, I'm transferring. I'm going to do a Virginia Tech podcast called Bass Tech. Let's go fishing, and we just sit there and nobody says a word, and we just throw our rods in the water, and I never catch a thing.
Hey, Fresh, there's an opening at Tarleton State for locker room access. Tarleton State.
I could do wonders with that. I guarantee you.
It's not unusual for big men to get lost on defense when they transfer in.
Especially when you've only played zone defense. So
yeah, the zone is definitely probably a factor in it, I would say. It seems like you gotta fix your instincts a little bit.
We talked about this with Caden Shedrick, his name last year. Like, do something to make yourself important. I think what Miner did, and again, shout out Tom Hensky, I'm not jockeying him. He saw a need for our team to have good screens by big men, and he sets good screens, and he rolls, and he catches it. Now, he has no chance of finishing at the rim, but he knows how to draw fouls. So he
made free throws.
A niche.
He made his free throws too, which is important. Let's look at that real quick. Free throw percentage. Oh gosh, I lost my feed here. Hold on. Do you have it up? Let's see. We were free throws. Where are we here?
We're 68%, 11 for 16.
Right, and that's not good, but it's way better than what we've done in the past.
Yeah, we're not a good free throw shooting team for some reason.
TW, that was genius right there. We're an awful.
Yeah, well,
shooting team.
William Atkins, people worrying about Gertrude transferring need to chill. That's not a reason to play someone. Yeah, it's like
I disagree.
We can talk.
William, I'll disagree because losing people out the back door like this year. So if we hadn't lost people out the back door, do you think we could have utilized guys like Trout? Do you think we could utilize a guy like Shedrick, Poppy, Igor? Like, when you lose them out the back door, it just makes things harder and it places more pressure. So I agree that there's still a lot of season left, but we have to take care of talented guys that are UVA guys, and I firmly believe Elijah is one and should be one. For the next, 3 years, especially after burning a red shirt, because that's a big deal.
Yeah.
We burned his red shirt, and he's played in like 3 or 4 games since then, or something.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're putting a lot of trust in this program and these coaches, and I hope they stick around and see it all the way through, right? Because I think today, in this day and age, it's easy to lose patience and just kind of bounce and go, I'm just going to look for greener pastures. But there have been so many instances of guys who are patient and made it through, and are playing professionally today, and can speak highly of UVA and being patient. But it's tough. I get it. The temptation to
here's a
transfer.
question:
It's
have
tough.
we burned red shirts before?
Not like
I
this.
Didn't Jesperson or something? I might be making a name up. I think
Jesperson was one.
Oh,
Okay.
Great job. Way in the recesses of my mind. I've read it on forum. Thanks. Shout out forum. Another assist, as always. But like Jesperson's not Elijah Gertrude. Like Elijah could be an NBA guy. So listen, I shouldn't say this, but I know him and his family really trust the whole staff and the program, and they're happy to be there. I'm just saying, if you take it off out of nowhere, Saturday to Monday, and then all of a sudden you don't play a couple games, that's tough. I'm sorry, that's just tough.
Yeah. Ned with a good question. Can we translate tonight's success to winning on the road?
No.
I don't know how you do that, but I hope they can. Because clearly this is not on the road. But Dante and Miner hopefully it's a sign of the things to come, right? Like Miner playing well and making, being physical down low has nothing to do with home versus road. If he can keep that up, that would be huge for us.
And Dante as well. Like Dante's a seasoned guy. He played at Georgetown. He's played at Providence. He's played against Villanova. So taking to Georgia Tech, like next, whatever. I really felt, and we've talked about it to ad nauseum, our offense has been running offense like we're practicing. Dante came in the game and attacked. We've really, really missed that outside of Reese. So
yeah, agreed.
That's a new dimension.
Yeah. I mean, there was next level with the kid from Notre Dame who torched us get playing time at UVA.
Marcus? Oh, of course.
No, he's talking about the kid who hit like the weird 3 and had the really big game against us.
Oh, like the weird last name, like Wazinski?
Yeah, I think he's from South Bend, Indiana, or if I'm not mistaken.
No, he made like 4 threes early in the game type thing, and then the point guard took over.
If anybody can make threes, I would imagine we could use them right now, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows how they would adapt to the system? Julie, with any thoughts on IMAC tonight? IMAC?
Yeah. Look, IMAC's going through, and Fresh talks about this. There's like, there's levels, right? And you get to one level where you're pretty good. Now the whole game plan is don't let IMAC shoot.
Right.
So the whole the whole defensive team is trying to shut IMAC down from shooting threes. So he's got to respond. And I know like people are upset about all the mid ranges, but that's all he's getting. And, taking a 3 that is deeper than you're used to, that shot fake and 1 or 2 dribbles into the mid range, he elevates well off the dribble. I think IMAC is finding the next level.
Right.
Fresh, you talk about this all the time.
Yep. And
when the scouting report comes out, things you got to be able to adjust, right? Like it's especially getting deep in the ACC play. People know your game. You've got to be able to adjust and overcome. And I think that's part of like experience. What were you going to say, Fresh?
It's not like he's not playing badly. You hit that level and you bounce back, but you're right. Being able to adjust individually, forget the team. What you're doing with your game and how you're gonna do it, like Kyle Guy. Let's go there. He relentlessly sprinted along the baseline, sprinted here, looked for a shot. You think teams weren't keying on Kyle Guy shooting threes?
Yeah.
Of course. He just never stopped moving. I don't even know if he was doing it within the offense. He just was hunting around and doing things. And slithering. IMAC has that too. He's still young, man. It's his second year. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, what do you guys think about many teams losing on the road this year? Yeah, I think it was like 65%
Wow.
home team wins, something like it's bad this year. I think a lot of it is the transfer and the inexperience and all of that is playing into this. What do you think, Ev?
Yeah, I would say that the transfer portal is a huge piece of that. You have guys moving conferences, guys moving divisions, but also guys moving like levels and playing at St. Thomas, and you play some, I don't even know I think Merrimack might be in their conference. Playing at Merrimack's different than playing at Wake. So, there's an adjustment, and, maybe next year it evens out again, but there'll be more transfers next year. There'll be more than there were last year. So maybe it doesn't, but I think you nailed it, T-Dub. It's transfer related. It's hard to win. And by the way, it's about to get a lot harder to win on the road. Students are back.
Yep.
They're here for 10 weeks until spring break, whatever it is, 8 weeks. It'll be hostile environments, conference play. It's not getting easier. You get a little break during that exam time to now, but now everywhere you go, it's going to be wild and crazy, and get used to it.
Would you say that inexperience really, really comes into play on the road? Because you need to be a little more locked in. You can get distracted a little easier if you're not used to, that sort of routine. I imagine it could be harder. I don't know. Well, you guys have the experience. What was it like for you guys on the road?
No, you got to realize every road game you should lose. I'm not sure how to say it better.
Right.
And back when we played, go to Clemson, go to Maryland, go to right. You could or should lose.
Right.
You got to go extra level up. And what Chris used to always do in our room, he would make me watch Shark Week for 2 or 3 days on repeat.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to watch a basketball game, the Lakers, nope, Shark Week. So, Jim, the real answer is watch Shark Week on the road and make sure you do your schoolwork.
That's very true. Hey, you're going into hostile places. People are yelling at you from behind the bench. It's really important, I think, on the road, and we've done a poor job of this year to get off to a good start. I think it matters at home. It matters in any game you play, but if you're on the road, you knock down a couple threes and a 2 and it's 8-5, then you're in the game, and then it kind of goes away a little bit because you're in the flow of what's happening. But it's hard to start off like 11-2, which we've done a lot this year on the road, and try to claw back.
Great point.
Thomas asked, is the problem with IMAC lack of his movement or bad scheming? I mean, he's been better this year, I think, off of screens and coming off curls and making them. I mean, thinking today he had a little cut to the basket and he almost had an alley-oop. But what do you guys think? Is IMAC?
I think the scheming begets the movement. Again, I watching the last few games, I think our guys are trying very hard to run the offense correctly instead of running offense. So at some point it's going to be on IMAC. He's still young. I mean, guys, he's played a bunch of games. He's a second year. He's a Tony Bennett guy. He's a system guy. He wants to do everything right. He's going to have to, at some point, just break out and bust the play, right? Is that the right word? Just bust the play, like Kyle Guy. Okay, I should be running to that corner, but you know what? I'm going to go back here to this corner. And nobody expects it and just rise up. So it goes hand in hand, Thomas, man. When we played, when I'd come in, I had to do everything right. But by the end of my time, I would, quote unquote, bust the play, hide behind the defense and get out and make a shot.
And the other thing for IMAC is he's, I don't know if it's definitely not movement. I feel like we're running and doing things for him. The biggest change for him is he went from being a tertiary player that was, third or fourth thought on the team to being maybe the main thought for defenses. So that's a big adjustment when you can be a guy that is not critical and pick your spots and get shots like he did last year. That's very different from the whole defense is set up to stop you, and that's a big one.
Any scout on a team who you're going to play, they're playing Morgan State, Charlton, whoever, and they're like, wait, somebody on their team makes 60% of his threes. What should we do against him? It's not that hard to think of what you should do now.
Right.
He's got to find wrinkles for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, now with synergy and scouting reports, I mean, I'm sure all the players are getting on their phones and iPads every play we're running, and they can easily and quickly scout what everyone's tendencies are. And for some players, that's difficult to overcome. Like IMAX a better standstill shooter and needs more movement around him to get him open. Then it makes it a little tougher for him.
Yep.
If Miner continues for him, what does this mean for Virginia in the grand scheme of their standings of the ACC? Does this make them 4-5, or do we still have a long way to go?
Good question.
I mean, that's reading the future, right? Long way to go. I'll answer it quickly. My opinion, long way to go.
We'll see. I think the Georgia Tech game this weekend on the road. Let's see what he does. Like you can have one big game. Can you consistently do it and do it on the road? Those are the questions. Like, after Rhodey had a big game against A&M, I remember going back and looking at that and thinking, can he do this on the road? Can he do it at Cameron? Can he do it at Little John's Coliseum? Like, we'll see. That's the real answer, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're in. Again, we're in that phase where every game is a must win. We're looking at probably a 3, maybe 4 team ACC inclusion in the NCAA tournament. You got Duke and Carolina, they're in. And then it's going to be NC State, Wake, Clemson, Virginia, Miami. Like we're getting 2, maybe 3 out of that. So, I hope it's something we can do. Confidence is a big thing in any sport you play, but basketball especially. And maybe we can take this momentum on the road against a pretty darn good Georgia Tech team.
Eric with the I appreciate the high ball screen blocker mover with Buchanan at the end of the game. He is mobile, makes bigs chase him. He just got to finish. I mean, I think we've seen him have great games and then not be able to finish around the rim, and that really hurts him. Maybe it's strength. I know we've talked about that.
He's you can't really see it yet, but he is a freak athlete, Blake Buchanan.
Yeah.
He also told us this pregame. We didn't share it. Advanced analytics. He never lost a game of tag in Idaho growing up. Nobody could ever catch him.
He was on one of the most elite travel tag programs in the country.
Remember the time you saw him? He jumped to the 3rd branch of the tree and pulled himself up, and all the kids went running, and he went back the other way. But yeah, that's going to be so interesting going forward. He's only going to get stronger. He's only going to get more agile. And the guy, I saw him in high school. He dunked with his elbows on the square, at the top of the square. So he'll come into himself. He'll get better and better.
No doubt.
Maggie with the question: should Rhodey come off the bench? I think we've seen, you look at the box score every game and you wonder, how does this guy get so many minutes? But I know defense. But I'll still with you. What do you think, Rhodey? Are we going to see minutes kind of dwindle with Dante coming back?
I think Rhodey played a lot of minutes because Dante was out, right? Dante's back now. I think that will automatically reduce his minutes a little bit. But at the same time, you have to look at production, and this is not a small sample. Shooting splits, terrible. Defense, not good. If you read Cuts from the Corner, who does such an outstanding job, like breaking down our games, he's not been like, it's not like he's Cornell Parker or DeAndre Hunter or like this defensive stopper, he's like an adequate defensive player. So he's not playing for his defense. He's playing because he has a good feel for the game. He makes the right play. I think everyone's rooting for him, including me, and I've been critical of him. But at some point, there has to be a lot more production from a guy getting 30 minutes a game. That's my real belief, and it'll cut back. Tane, another one. Jim's talking about Tane. Hey, every time Tane gets in, I mean, I'm going to sound like Dave the Wave here, but like Dave makes a lot of good points. The team performs well. He's not the greatest on defense either, but there's aggression there, and I think we need that. We need aggression and flair, and certainly there are guys that can provide that. It's just a question of if Tony thinks they're good enough in practice.
Yeah, Dante has no in between, right? You're not sort of wondering he's going to do what he's going to do. And in certain games, that's refreshing. In certain games, you don't want that. Meaning you can't just be one speed all the time, every time, right? But tonight it was important. We had to get the win. He came in. He's got experience. He's not surprised by Padula, Couture, who's the other kid. Doesn't matter. So that was good. If you want to go down that road, and I really don't know how to do it in rotations, there's one guy who's glaringly getting a lot of minutes that maybe those should be chopped up if you want to do Elijah, if you want to do Tane or whatever. But hey,
yeah.
And Jim's question.
That's a long discussion.
Is Ryan Dunn still going pro? Is Reese?
Oh, Reese.
Fresh, you got to answer first on this one.
I think, 1,000% Ryan Dunn is going to do the NBA Combine, the whole thing. I don't know the NBA so well because I gave up trying to understand it, but I think there's about a 99% chance somebody will take him at some point vis-a-vis the measurables and his defense, and they want a guy like him there now. I don't think it's going to be in the first round unless he really changes things. It'll be in the second round. He'll have a decision to make. I think Reese, it's really going to depend on how the season ends. If we can turn it around and have a good experience, go to the NCAA tournament, win 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or how many games can you win in it, Reese might come back, man. But if the season doesn't drastically change, I think Reese will probably pass the baton on. I don't know. This is me just watching.
Well, I'll answer it differently. So I think both are going pro, but I think the point of your question is, are they going to play in the NBA?
Oh, fair.
I think Ryan has so many attributes that the NBA looks for: length, motor, and they will work with him. They're probably willing to make Ryan Dunn an NBA player. Until Reese develops a shot, I don't think he will be an NBA player. He might get two ways and go back and forth, but and do some of that, but he's not a bona fide NBA pick right now based on his shooting. You look at the NBA, everyone can shoot, whether it's centers stepping out, but you can't be a guard who cannot shoot from NBA 3-point range. Certainly hasn't demonstrated that at UVA at the college 3-point line, let alone the NBA 3-point line. So my guess is Reese may hang around the NBA a little while, but will end up having a really long and good career in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, you look at UVA's prior sort of draft picks, and you'll quickly see a theme there of shooting like across the board, right? You even talk about Mamadi. It was a great shoot. I remember going to practices and watching him hit 25, 26 in a row from NBA 3. Like, the guy could shoot. And you look at Ryan and Reese and you question, are they elite shooters? I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But like comparatively to Ty and Dre and Kyle and Mamadi and Jay Huff and like
Well,
those guys
let's go
could
further.
shoot
Trey
the lights out.
Trey
Like
Murphy,
it's a
Sam
big difference.
Hauser.
Anyway, we'll see. I don't know. I don't like Ryan Dunn. Obviously, yeah, oozes all that athleticism, but does he feel like an NBA lottery pick right now? Probably not. I don't know, but he might still go pro though. Great aspect of Harris's comeback is that Reese doesn't have to do everything. Yes, we'd like him to though. At least I would.
Yeah.
Tyler with Reese, yes. Dunn, no. NBA loves Ryan Dunn's measurables. Yep, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Both need to work on their offense. Ryan with the wingspan. What else do we have here? If Dunn could just develop an outside jump shot, yeah. I know this sucks, but does Ron Sanchez coming back mean Tony moves on to the NBA? Sorry for the negativity. No, JT, that's negative. Negativity is part of it, right? Like, is it, you gotta wonder these things. We've talked about it. I think there's been a bunch of articles. I don't know if he wants to do the NBA. I'm sure he's curious. He's got to want to know what it's like to coach in that league for sure. Whether he would enjoy like having guys with massive egos and managing sort of personalities, I don't know. I'm sure he would love the competition of the NBA though, like 7-game series, playoffs, all of that. It's got to be enticing. What do you think, Fresh Halves?
No, I think Tony. He's kind of an old school coach at this point, right? He's been here 14 years and in the game 20. I think at this point, NIL, transfer portal, all those stuff, he would like to just coach. And he's not a guy to shy away from a challenge. He's crazy competitive. I asked him this same question point blank for fun. I didn't really care about the answer. And he paused, but this was like 8 years ago. He paused and he told me, I played in the NBA. I think that might be enough for it, and he didn't finish the thought, So, I mean, these guys, when you have options, right? Like it's a great problem for him to have. He's got options and he's got phone calls and that. So, but at this point, I'm guessing no, but I don't know.
What do you think, Hav? What's your guess?
So I don't think I think the draw of going to the NBA is leaving behind the recruiting, the NIL transfer, the school. Like there's a lot of kind of like ulterior environments that come into play when you're a college coach. Is the kid in school? Is he going to class? How's he doing? Is he going to transfer? I got to get him from so-and-so high school. Like at the NBA, it's basketball, right?
Yep.
It's strictly basketball. And that's a draw for most coaches, especially in today's game when there's so much of this extraneous stuff happening around. I think, as it relates to Tony, his style of play and like what he values, if we were to broadly say that Tony is a defensive-minded coach that wants to win in the 60s, there's no teams winning in like the 90s. I think the lowest scoring team is like 103 and the highest scoring team is like 111 average in the NBA this year. That's a big jump for a guy who's run a system. And that's not a positive or negative. That's just, I think stylistically, the NBA would be a big jump for a guy like Tony.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, moving on to the NBA, or does he just retire from this? Like like that's another question. It's on the table for sure. Like I can imagine all these changes in college. I mean, it's not a wild statement to say the game has changed enough. You can see Coach K, Roy Williams, Jay Wright, like tons of people have retired recently, and I don't think it's because they're just simultaneously agreed they're done. I think a lot of it is the game has changed enough where it's probably not the same. Like it's just not as fun or it's not as interesting, and they've moved on. So I don't know how Tony feels about it. I can't imagine he wants to go out on a sour note. I would hope he has one more run in him, but whatever, man. he brought us a natty, man. I'll support him no matter what he does.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference compared to the past now is like the inflation in coaching salaries, and good for them. I'm not saying it's right or it's bad. Guys at 50 who've done it for a while are comfortable, man. They don't need to chase the carrot for the money part, right? So it really depends on your inner drive. Do you like Baleen did it, right? He went to the Cavaliers for a year, half a year, whatever he did, and and he could get out of it comfortably. You could do TV, the whole thing. So
yeah, totally.
that's
got a lot
the
of
biggest
Tony.
thing, man. Back in the day, remember guys would just, Larry Brown. I don't know if he was made tons of money, not enough money, but he just job to job, and he was a different focus. I don't know if Tony's that way. I don't know.
I would say this. I would be more likely to think that Tony would join a front office for the NBA
GM
and be a GM than he would be a coach. And I can tell you, if he hung it up at the end of this season and said, I want to consult with NBA teams, every NBA team would call and say, I want a piece of that guy for what he stands for, how he runs things, so I can see him working in the NBA. I don't know if it's as a head coach, but maybe like a Brad Stevens type who had a, relatively short coaching career in the
and
NBA.
is very close. He's very close with TB, so I could imagine they've talked.
Quickly to the front office and have Tony's wisdom and principles surrounding a team, creating culture and helping them win.
Regardless, Tony Bennett, amazing. I know everyone's now like, oh, we're losing his but like, what this is the golden era of UVA hoops, coming from somebody who's spent a life cheering for UVA. Yeah. This is the greatest we've ever seen. And to not give him the all the credit in the world would be a shame. And he's done such an incredible job building this program to where it is today. So more power to him, whatever he is. And obviously I'm biased. He's somebody I admire and look up to. So Tony, let's see what I think that's
T-Dub. Let me ask you a question. What would Baba be saying right now about the game?
I mean, at this point, after the natty, he was like, whatever, anything goes. Seriously, after the natty, he was like, he'll trust anything Tony's done. And, he was very much like loosely tied, at that age. He was just like glad to watch the games. Like he didn't really care at the end of the day. So, he wasn't as involved, but I'd imagine he would just be cheering like crazy for Reese and the scene. He always was a senior guy, right? Like wherever the seniors are, he was rooting for him to do well and move on. So
that's awesome.
I imagine that's where he would be at. But Tony does no wrong, deserves it for sure. I mean, on a personal note, even when my dad passed away, I don't know how he found out, but he sent me an incredible video, encouraging me and supporting me and sending condolences, and like, just on that note, he's just like a good human being. Like we love him as a human being. Obviously he's our coach, but like that's a special man. Appreciate that, Thomas. I said that in the pregame, but I appreciate everybody reaching out and all the support that's meant the world to me. I mean, obviously it's a difficult time, and the UVA community sort of like embracing it. It was really, really special, and I thank everyone. I can't say that enough. I'm kind of speechless when it comes to that, but I appreciate it. Peggy, maybe we'll peak at the right time. We haven't seen that before, have we? I guess 2019, it's hard to argue, but like peaking in March, that'd be awesome. Like we did it the season of COVID, right? The lockdown, we won 8
canceled the season.
That maybe we'll do it again. Appreciate it, Jen. But yeah, maybe this is the year we turn the corner, we catch fire in March. That'd be amazing.
It's one game at a time, man, right now for us. And it makes it fun for us, I think, as fans, because it's not like, all right, we're not 16-1 and we know we're in. So let's rally the troops for Tech.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Next game Saturday. Hopefully we'll have the whole crew. Mark, Spence, everybody, road game, Forrest. We get everybody to join. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Go Who's, big win over Tech.
Go Hoos.
Go Who's.
Nice job. Thanks, everybody.